Okay.
Okay, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to join our webinar, Opportunities to Publish in Corporate Governance, the International Journal of Business in Society. My name is Ellie Lai. I'm the Associate Regional Marketer Manager at Emerald Publishing, and I will be moderating today's session. Before we start, I would love to inform you that all audience who join this webinar are automatically in listen-only mode, which means you are muted. Please use the question pane if you have encountered any technical issues or have any questions during the webinar. Thank you for your cooperation. Now, I think it's a great pleasure for me to introduce our guest speakers today. Today, we are very honored to have Professor Gabriel Eweje join us from New Zealand. He's the Editor-in-Chief of Corporate Governance, the International Journal of Business in Society. And also, we have Dr. Masahiro Hosoda joining us from Japan. He's the Associate Editor of Corporate Governance, the International Journal of Business in Society. Professor Eweje, would you like to say hello to the audience and give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Oh, hi, everyone. I would say a big good afternoon or good morning, or I think, yeah, you are either in the afternoon or in the morning time anyway. Yeah, it's been fantastic to be here today, and I would like to thank Emerald Japan and other Emerald like Ellie from Taiwan for making this happen. You know, it's been really fantastic. Thank you for all the work you've done to put this together. And also, I would like to welcome every one of you to our, discourse today about corporate governance, the International Journal of Business in Society. As Ellie has said, my name is Gabriel Eweje from Massey University in Auckland, New Zealand. I've been the editor-in-chief of this journal for the past more than since 2004, actually. And since then, this journal has been, going, to places. It's been improving, and we are doing it very, very well. I would say I would encourage you to make it a journal of choice, for your work. I think at this stage, I would just, like to stop until my presentation. But it's been fantastic to see you all here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How about Dr. Hosoda? Would you like to say hello to the audience and briefly introduce yourself?
Yep. Good afternoon and good morning. My name is Masahiro Hosoda. I'm an assistant professor of accounting in College of Business, Lick University. And thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you so much for attending this event. I hope it's a good opportunity to think about the submission of our journal. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's so wonderful to have you two with us today. And here is our agenda for today's webinar. We will begin with Professor Eweje sharing his insights on submissions, article reviewing, and all the other important information regarding journal article publication to corporate governance. And then we will have Dr. Hosoda join us at panel discussion and Q&A session. Lastly is the closing part. And the whole session should last around like 1 hour. And please allow me to remind you again that during this webinar, if you have any questions, please just type in the questions via the questions pane. Our colleagues in the background will help sort things out or collect your questions and raise them up during Q&A session. We would very much love to hear from you. I would also like to let you know that this webinar is going to be recorded, and the recording will be sent to the email you register via the automatic system of GoToWebinar platform the next day. Okay, great. Right now, I'm gonna head it over to Professor Eweje. Hold on for a second. Okay. Professor Eweje, I think the floor is all yours now.
Yeah. Again, thank you, Ellie. Can you see my slide?
Yes, we can. I think right now we see the website, the GoToWebinar.
Okay, can you go back again so that I can restart it again?
Oh, sure. Hold on for a second. Okay. Let me. Can you see the pop-up message to you?
Yes. Can you see my
Yes,
slide now?
perfect. Yes.
Good. Fantastic. Yeah. Again, welcome. To my presentation. As I said earlier on, my name is Gabriel. I'm a professor of corporate responsibility and sustainability at Massey University in New Zealand, and I'm talking to you here in Auckland, New Zealand. I will just briefly give you some background about the journal and also give you some tips, how to publish in our journal and how to be successful in publishing in our journal as well. But I'm not going to spend much time in my presentation. I will, in fact, expect you to ask me some questions so that I could give you more information about the journal. So the aim of I'll just give you some aim and scope of the journal, as you can see on my screen. And basically, we do publish a diverse range of substantive, theoretical, and methodological debates, as well as practical developments in the field of corporate governance. So, and also we look at, we do cover a broad spectrum of governance-related themes. We do have, if you want to publish with us, there are two ways you could publish. You could either publish through our regular issue, that is, you submit to our, you go to our portal and then you submit your manuscript. Or you could submit to one of our special issues. We do have special issues at least maybe once or twice a year. So as the name, I mean, special issue is a special issue. We have maybe a pressing issue globally, or it could be in a particular region, or it could be a particular country. So where we have our guest editors, we approach us about the issue they would like to publish through us. So we do have a form for that. If any one of you is interested in publishing a special issue rather than submitting to our regular issue, please just go to our website and you will see more information about it. Look, I've put our website, link to our website here, and I think this presentation will be sent to you later on. I will strongly suggest that you go to our website and find out more information about the journal if you haven't done that already. As I will also give you some metrics, about our journal. I mean, the journal is ranked, I would say, globally in different countries, in different regions. And you can see all of it here. For example, it's ranked by the Association of Business Schools in the UK. And also it's ranked by Australian Research Council, Australian Business Deans Council, which is normally called ABDC. And it's ranked in Brazil, in Finland, Italy, China, Norway, Germany, and also by Scopus. So if you want to see more of that as well, I would suggest you go to the website, and all this information, they're available on the website. Let me just give you some specific metrics here. SNP, were actually journal indicators were 1.26, which is not really bad at all. If you go to SNP and go to the website, you will see that we are actually doing better. There are some journals that were actually better ranked than us. So which is a good thing, and I will say, that just demonstrates that we are publishing good articles, and our reviewers and editors are doing fantastic work as well to make sure that we only publish quality articles. We also Simago, which is Scopus. We are actually ranked Q1. So if you go to and our H index on Simago is 58. Also, ABS in the UK, we have 2 stars actually. And then also, just to give you some background as well, as I said, we are ranking several countries. And a good example of that is Pakistan. Pakistan Higher Education Commission actually rank our journal as well. So this is just, more metrics to use. And Scopus, if you go to Scopus or Simago, this is what you will see. We are Q1. Size score last year, 2020, sorry. Our size score was 4.1. And you could see this year already, we are, doing very, very well. We are 5.4. And our intention, that is my intention and my other editors, my associate editors, is actually to improve this and to make it, go, bigger and better. And the only way we can do that is through accepting only quality articles in our journal. We are not the only, journal asking for a quality article. I would say all journals are doing the same thing. And then ABS, as I said before, we are ranked 2, which is actually not too bad as well. But our intention is to go to 3. So we are not, happy that we are 2 at the moment, but we just want to go higher and higher. And I know some of you would like to know our acceptance rate. Our acceptance rate is actually, it's not too bad. And this is also because our authors and our editors are doing fantastic work. We are receiving, I would say, a lot of submissions all the time. And in fact, this year alone, our submissions are very, very high. If I just give you, a picture of the last 5 years, in 2017, our acceptance rate was 21%. In 2018, it was 24%. In 2019, it was 19%. 2020, 21%. And this year, our acceptance rate is 17%. We are not out there to say, okay, we're going to accept 17% this year or 20% next year. We don't say that. What we do, we base our, if you submit an article, as usual, we send it to reviewers. And at the same time, the editors will spend a lot of time as well looking at your submission and make sure that it is unique, it is strong, and in fact, it fits, into our scope and aims. I would like to spend some time on the tips for getting published. This, I would say, might be similar to other journals as well, but this is unique to our journal, Corporate Governance. I think one of the reasons why many papers submitted are rejected is mainly because those papers do not fit into the journal's aims and scope. So my suggestion is, please, before you submit to our journal, read the author guidelines. This is imperative and fundamental. If you don't know about the journal, if you don't know about the aims and scope, I think it's going to be very difficult to actually send us, a good article. And I will give you one of the examples I've got, and one of the reasons why many people will make a mistake, or many authors might not look at the aims and scope. First, some people, maybe for some reasons, their paper get rejected in other journals. There's a reason why those articles are rejected. My suggestion is that if you're going to send it to us or to any other journal, look at the aims and scope of that journal before you send it to them. So if it doesn't fit, it's going to be just rejected straight away. And that is very, very common. Also, we look at the originality, quality, and how solid a paper, or a manuscript is. And I think if we have spent so much, time, we have spent hours to prepare our articles for submission, I think we should try as much as possible to look at it time and time again before you submit it. Look at the originality. Look at the quality of your article. How solid is it? I think this is very, very important. Another reason why I would say many people will get rejected is because of their purpose and objectives are not clear. If you are writing an article, if you don't have a clear purpose or objectives, I mean, obviously, reviewers will not be happy, the editors will not be happy, and the paper will be rejected, certainly. So I do strongly suggest to please look at your purpose and objectives, make sure they are strong and clear. Another tip I will look at is the relationship to literature. That is the understanding of the relevant literature in the field. If you're talking about corporate governance, let's say, for example, you're talking about gender and corporate governance, but your literature does not cover any of those topics. I mean, obviously, that paper will not get published. I'm saying this to you, I put this together based on my experience as an editor. This is not I've been an editor of another journal before. And it's the same mistakes all the time we see from contributors or authors. Because some of you might be thinking, oh, well, if someone is writing an article, they will obviously know the literature. I'm sorry, some don't. Another area I would like to mention is theoretical and practical contributions. For example, our journal, we focus on both theory and practice. That is why it's good to look at the aims and scope of the journal. So I've seen many, many articles with no theoretical contributions or practical contributions. Then what is the purpose of your writing? What is the purpose of your article? Who are you writing for? What do you want us to learn from your paper? If we can't see anything in terms of practice and theoretical contributions, then the paper will surely get rejected. Also, always make your theoretical argument unique. Your paper, your article is unique to other articles that have been written before, even in the same area. If you are writing the same thing, making the same arguments, the same conclusions, the paper is never going to be published because we've seen it before, we've read it before. We know exactly what you will say or what your arguments will be. So please always make your theoretical arguments unique. Make it different, stand out, differentiate your submission. Also, make your manuscript distinctive from previous articles. That is just, in relation to what I've just said now. Because our journal will publish or will support you, with good I would say, comments that will help you to publish. But if it's not distinctive to other articles, then there's no point for us. If there's nothing novel in your study, then we will not be encouraged as well to support your article. I always say this to my colleagues, and I will say this again. We should try as much as possible to be innovative and creative when we write articles. We should try to do that all the time. If we do that, I think we will get published. But if we ignore that, just think we are writing for the sake of writing, well, there's no point to send it to any journal. We write for an audience, not just for ourselves. We want an audience to actually see our work. But we have to write it in such a way that, it will be accepted by the audience. So another point is ensure, sorry about that, that's a typo. Ensure your research plan purpose aligns with your research questions. That is another major flaws I've come across as an editor. I mean, sometimes some of us don't actually align our purpose with our research questions. And that is problematic. If I don't understand it, obviously, we are not going to send it to any reviewers. If any of my editors don't understand it, they're not going to send it to any reviewers. So I think we should try as much as possible to just spend a bit of some time. We spend a lot of time to craft our articles. I think we should spend a lot of time as well to make it solid, to make it stronger, so that when we send it out, at least we will get published. Also, we should try as much as possible to engage with current and global phenomena. I've said earlier that we should make our paper distinctive, and at the same time, we shouldn't be what makes our articles different from others. So, but if we are current with global issues or topics around our areas, I think, and then we write about it, believe me, our paper or our articles will be published one way or the other. But I don't know why some of our colleagues don't do that. Some of our colleagues are just trying to recycle topics, if you know what I mean. The topics we've read before, they come up, try to, make it look different. But there's something different about it. So that is why, we all know that in our field, that, we have to, follow what is happening globally in our region, or even maybe in our countries as well, if it's unique. If we think what is really happening in our environment, we'll be interested, or other people will be interested in it. Yeah, let's write about it. Also, there should be closer critical connection between the problems or cases presented and the arguments advanced. I mean, this is quite a lot of, a lot of thinking, a lot of innovation and creativity will be applied at this stage. But again, when there's no connection and, our arguments are just all over the place, we couldn't, craft them and put them together properly. And if they're not coherent, not focused, it's going to be very, very difficult for editors and also reviewers to be positive about our work. And I would like to say this to you: we are not actually there to discourage people from publishing with us. In fact, we really want, new articles all the time. But at the same time, they have to be very, very strong. And if they fit into the aims and you put them, you make them unique and strong, we will surely support you. And I would like to say this, as an editor, there are times when reviewers will say, oh, well, this article is not good. We should reject it. We don't just do that. I look at it again. If I know that the article needs more work, and I believe that, well, the authors will be able to turn it around and improve it, of course, I will give them, an opportunity to do so. We don't just, make a decision based on the reviewers all the time. Of course, we have to. Don't get me wrong, because reviewers are like you, even myself as well, for other journals, to help, make, to help us to get published by giving us some, new insights, give us some constructive comments, how to engage with the literature and other things that will help us to get our papers published. Also, pay great attention to editors and reviewers' comments. This is another fault, a big fault, I will say. I've come across articles where the authors will not even look at the comments. Either they don't look at the comments, or they refuse to look at it, and thinking that, well, they will just answer it as they wish. Unfortunately, that's not going to work, because that's the reason why you send your article to us, and you actually asking us to have a look at it and to support you to publish it at the same time. So, and if or after our reviewers have spent time with your article, and also our editors have spent time as well, and at the end of the day, the author said, well, I'm not going to look at that at all, then I'm afraid that will be problematic as well. And another point I would like to say is, I would say for continuity, it is very, very important. It is vital to cite articles from our journal. I've seen some articles with no single. I've seen some articles manuscripts sent to us with no single article from our journal there. I would strongly encourage that. Please do look at the journal you are going to send your article to, and then make sure you engage with the journal's previous published articles. This is very, very important. I've seen some journals asking for about 30 articles from their journal. But for us, we ask between 15, 20 articles, so that you engage with the previous articles or with the excellent literature in our journal. And then you continue with the argument to support your argument. So there are so many, many things I could say, but I just thought if I just gave you this background why people don't get published, or I put it another way, keeps forgetting published. I think you might have some questions to ask about this, and then I will be prepared to answer your questions. But there's no point for me to keep talking about, because I know all this already. But I would like to hear your comments and some of the issues you have that you would like me to answer, or to give you more some kind of a clear information about the journal. But I would just like to emphasize that when you send your article, make sure your paper fits into our aims and scope. That is very, very important.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, Professor Eweje, for sharing your valuable experience. I think the tips in that slides are especially great takeaways for participants today, right? And I think right now we will be moving to a panel discussion and Q&A session. Okay, I think my colleagues in the background are passing over some questions here. So we will see if we can answer all here. All right. Let us start with some questions addressing border issues. All right. And this questions is for Professor Eweje. The question goes as there are several academic journals which are related to corporate management and governance in general. Can you share with us that what are the typical features of corporate governance, your journal, comparing to the other relevant journals?
Look, I will even start with this. If you look at the title of our journal, we got in corporate governance, the International Journal of Business in Society. So we do actually cover a broad, topics in corporate governance. Looking at the issues around, maybe boardroom issues around even key issues with, for example, now around gender issues. We've seen issues around ESG, but basically some of the key issues here is about transparency, accountability, and ethics, which is very, very huge in corporate governance today. And yes, we have a broad topics in corporate governance, but we try as much as possible to accept some of the, I would say, something that would be more practical and at the same time academic as well. If you look at some of the special issues we've had in the last couple of years, and the current one even we have as we speak, we have something on happiness and management recently. I mean, some people might be thinking, oh, wow, is that really part of corporate governance? But if you look at the topic, if you look at what happiness means in management, you will see that, and then you try to link it, to corporate governance arguments. You see that it is relevant. Also, we look at issues around corporate governance and sustainability and management control systems. That was a very big. We received a lot of submissions, and which shows that at least people are actually looking at what we are doing, and at the same time, it is relevant to discussions around corporate governance. If you, as we speak as well, we did publish a special issue on COVID-19. Look at the impact of COVID-19 on education, on corporate governance, on management as well, and that was a big hit. And in fact, it has got the highest download compared to other special issues we had. So, and then if you want to look at the subject specific, you will always find corporate governance in accounting, in finance, also in management as well. So it just depends. That is why when I mentioned that we have to, be very current with global issues and current phenomena, I think that is very, very important, because sometimes we don't like to recycle topics. There are so many new topics out there coming up all the time, and we just have to be innovative and creative in the way we present those arguments.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Professor Eweje. And since you've mentioned the COVID-19, the pandemic, I believe it has like great impact in our society and human beings as a whole recently. And we have a couple of questions coming from the audience that how has COVID affected the ways research are conducted, or has this pandemic affected management of the journal as well? Do we see any change in pattern for the journal? So these questions for both Professors Eweje and Dr. Hosoda as well. Yeah, see if like, who do you want to talk on first?
Yeah, let me quickly touch on that before Martha do.
Yeah.
COVID-19 has impacted greatly on everyone, all citizens, and it has also impacted on our colleagues, academics. This time last year, or I would say maybe around June last year, we actually thought, in fact, all journals, because we do have editorial meetings, all journals thought, well, maybe nobody will be writing. That was what we thought. In fact, I can tell you, we received more submissions in the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021. We've received a lot. That is the positive side. The negative side is us, our colleagues, other academics. We need our colleagues to help with the review process. Some of our colleagues, some of them, unfortunately, either due to other commitments, some of them maybe because of their health, they could not help us. So if you look at it from that perspective, up to now, we've got a lot of issues with that. So it's taking longer. The review process is taking longer than necessary because some of our colleagues are tired. We have a lot of pressure from our work, from our institutions. So yes, that is where the negative impact is. In terms of submissions, wow, we got plenty of it. But in terms of you guys, support from reviewers, our colleagues, is becoming difficult and difficult. Sometimes we do send. There have been situations where our editors send maybe, for just one article, maybe send nearly 20 invitations looking for a reviewer we couldn't get. But we are still doing that anyway. So can I just say something today? All of you, all my colleagues out there, please support us to review because we do need your support. I know it's very difficult, but if you could, please do support us with that.
Okay, how about Dr. Hosoda? Do you have any observations or thoughts to share with us regarding the impact of the pandemic?
Thank you so much. As Dr. Eweje mentioned, from associate editor perspective, during the COVID-19 pandemic, it was difficult to find reviewers. Those reviewers also have the same condition as us under the COVID-19 pandemic. But they did our best to send a report for each papers. And at the same time, authors themselves, they were facing the difficult situation to write and rewrite the papers. And some authors asked me to extend the deadline to resubmit or submit the papers. So we tried. I did my best, and I allowed authors to extend the deadline to resubmit the papers. So for total, we tried to do our best to publish the papers which were submitted to our journal during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, yes, I see. And some audience are curious that under this condition, are you open to consider and accept new reviewer or researchers in their early career to join your EAB, the reviewer board? Is there any standard for applying for EAB members?
Look, I will say you are highly welcome. Look, when it comes to reviewing academic articles, we don't look at whether you are a senior academic or early career academics at all. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we all understand we understand the literature. We know the purpose of writing, and so we are always looking for new reviewers. And I will say, please, if you want to review for us, look, send me your name, and I will put your name on our database. I mean, it's very very easy for me to do, and I will really appreciate your support, for that.
Okay, that's great news for everyone who want to join Professor Gabriel and Dr. Hosoda to be the reviewer. Yeah. And right now we have another question that addressing like bigger, broader issues here. Since you have mentioned sustainability as a very hot topic right now among the corporate governance, is there any changes in focus or direction of the journal to focus on the SDG, Sustainability Development Goals that being raised by the United Nations? Can you share with us?
Look, sustainability and corporate governance actually go together. If you look at the debates around corporate governance today, you will always hear ESG, environmental, social, and governance. It is huge. When you talk about reporting, sustainability reporting, you find issues around corporate governance there. So, and I will refer to what I said before. The title of the journal is Corporate Governance, the International Journal of Business in Society. So that alone actually tells us what it means, what the journal means, and what we are looking at. Yes, the core argument is corporate governance, but then when we look at other variables, around it, that is when you look at corporate governance. I'm sorry, you look at sustainability and so forth. And the SDGs is very very important. They are very important, very very vital to our discourse around corporate governance. We did have a special issue on the SDGs, and that's one going on as we speak as well. I think it was based on looking at the corporate governance SDGs and in the developing countries, I think. Yes. There was one that a couple of years ago, but they couldn't finish that special issue. That is what special issue is. Sometimes the guest editors don't get enough submissions, and we would not go ahead with it. But with that one, what we did was we did publish some of the articles that were submitted to the special issue in our regular issue. So, and I can tell you, from next year until 2030, I won't be surprised if I'm receiving a lot of articles on around SDGs and corporate governance, because next year is going to be a lot of big debate around climate change, and then climate change discussion around the at the board level, at the management level, and also all those going to be coming together next year. So if you are thinking of topics around SDGs, corporate governance, and sustainability as a whole, I think that would be fantastic. Look, for me, I will not be giving you topics to write on because that would be wrong of me. But I know that there will be many emerging topics coming, from next year going forward on this, issues we just mentioned. And of course, we're going to have our, I would say, traditional corporate governance topics as well, which, that will always be there.
Okay, great. Let's see, and here we have another questions on about the rejection reasons. Professor Eweje has previously mentioned a couple of reasons why being rejected, and the audience would like to know that what are the most common rejections based on your experience. Can you elaborate more? Yeah, and if you could give us some advice on how to avoid rejections, and is there any ultimate guide that's applicable to all journals across all publishers to avoid rejections? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, look, that is a good question. All of us always want, we always look for answers to that particular question. I would say one thing straight away. If you don't have a good purpose, you are not going to get published. It's simple. What is the purpose of your study? What is the objective or objectives of your study? Why in the first place you think that particular topic is important? It is not important to anybody anywhere in the world. It is important to you. However, if you are able to convince your peers, that is us, that this topic is important and the reasons why that topic is important, believe me, that is the first step. That is a very, it's a first step. This next one is, do you actually understand the literature related to the problem you're trying to solve? Then, what are your contributions to knowledge or even to practice? What are the implications of your study? If you are giving us or if you are sending us the same contributions we know already, your paper is not going to fly. Even if I write the same way, it's never going to fly. And I would like to emphasize that we should pay more attention to our purpose a lot, to our contributions, and also to, look at the implications of our study, whether we are contributing to theory. How do we contribute to theory? Or in terms of practice, how will our paper actually be used or be useful in the practice, among the practitioners? I think that is very, very important. But for me, I do have meetings with editors of other journals. One of the key issues we don't understand why that is around purpose and contribution.
See, Dr. Hosoda, do you have anything else to add as a associate editor for corporate governance?
I totally agree with Professor Gabriel. Thank you. Yes, and yes, I see the purpose and the scope, and also the relevance between the previous research, and also the paper that was submitted, and also the theoretical contribution and practical contribution. Once the papers assigned to the reviewer also see this point. So I totally agree with Professor Eweje.
Yeah, I see.
I would just quickly like to add something. Thank you, Dr. Hosoda. Look, in our journal, we do have many editors. We have many associate editors. I think we have about 20 or something like that, and they are all, experts in different areas. So we know, corporate governance areas very well, and all those editors, they are there to help. They are very, very supportive. We don't just decide, oh, this paper is not good or that paper is good. We have, people from different backgrounds, in terms of, their expertise, different expertise, that we look at your paper before we, send it to our reviewers.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And regarding the literature review that Professor Eweje has mentioned earlier, is it must to have or nice to have that we cite literatures from the journal that we would like to submit to?
Sorry, I'm laughing because I would say it is a must actually to have. If you look at all journals today, even all the top journals in the world, they do encourage you to cite their articles. And I would tell you this: a journal is not just there for itself; it's to talk about a particular issue and to continue to talk about it, maybe from different dimensions. So basically, if you look at the journal, what we produce, what we publish in our journal, the reason why you send your article to us is basically to continue the conversation. So I would say then it is actually vital to support some of those arguments you have with our, articles, and of course with other articles from other journals as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a continued conversation and
Yes,
arguments
that's
to
right.
the previous scholars. Yes.
Yes.
So it's a must to have to answer that questions. Yeah.
I
And
will leave the answer to the person.
okay. And the next question is that you've mentioned that we need to pay great attention to editors or reviewers' comments. Does that also mean we need to find a very good corresponding author if the paper have like multiple authors coordinated together for the paper?
I didn't understand the question very well, but if I do, look, when you send an article to us, even whether it's written by one or two or three people, we don't look at that. We look at the article itself. So obviously, an article is an article. It doesn't matter whether how many authors we have or how many scholars write it. So basically, my suggestion is this: when you receive your, reviewers' comments, I think the natural thing to do is to talk to, other co-authors and say, look, these are the comments. You've seen the comments. How are we going to respond to it? You respond to it, those comments in two ways. When you revise your article, and at the same time, when you send, some kind of a note to us, response to editor's note, whereby you're going to tell us how you do it. Look, I am an academic and I write as well. Sometimes you might not agree with the comments. There's nothing wrong to say that. However, you have to have a very, very strong, evidence to support your argument. That, well, that is not our focus. Our focus is different from that perspective, and then that is okay. Look, that is you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to do that.
Yeah. How about Dr. Hosoda? Do you have anything to add in terms of these questions on like when you are co-authoring a paper? Yeah, how to respond to the comments and from reviewers and editors. Yeah.
All right, I think it's almost same as Professor Eweje. Yes, the communication is really important. It means so communication between the authors before submitting the revised paper, and at the same time, communication between the authors and also reviewers are very important to revise the paper and resubmit the paper.
Okay, thank you. And I think the next question is from a beginners who's just like entering the academic world. I think he said, I would like to try to write and submit a paper to your journal. It will be my first try to write an English paper though. Do you have any advice for beginners?
Look, we do support everyone. When we see a paper, we don't actually know. We don't look at the name, to be honest. We don't know whether the person is a beginner or is, someone who is well into academics for many, many years. But what I would say is this, though. You want your paper to be read globally. You want your paper to be successful. Then you have to spend some time as well to write a very good quality and solid paper. So in terms of language, look, if you go to our website, we do have suggestions about people that could review your paper for you. I mean, it's at your cost, though. I mean, you have to remember, if your paper is accepted, we will not accept it anyway if the language is not good. But at the same time, that shouldn't be a problem these days. There are many people who will help, they don't help with the content itself. They only proofread for you, and so that to make it look, acceptable and readable as well. And so there's no excuse not to use them if you are not maybe you doubt your writing skills or style. And I would like to encourage all early career researchers out there, please don't hesitate to send your articles to us. I mean, for me in particular, I like to support early career researchers. I think it is very important to do so. So, but at the same time, we have to look at the paper itself to make sure that the manuscript is good. Sometimes I've actually withdraw some papers, and I will send a private message to the authors that go and look at this article again, try to improve it, and send it again. So I do that when I see that there are potentials in those articles. So instead of just say reject, no, I will withdraw it from the system, then encourage those authors to look at it again and then submit it later on.
Yes. And Dr. Hosoda, do you have anything to add?
Nothing, but today's the presentation very important to think about the submission, the academic papers. So the tips that Professor Eweje gave us today is very important. And also in terms of language, as Professor Eweje mentioned, the authors need to use several services to improve the readability and also acceptability.
Yeah, I see. Thank you very much. I think
I would say this: don't let the language be a barrier. No.
Yes. Me as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So if there's only one thing you hope the people who join us in the audience today do as a result of the webinar, it would be like, just don't let language be the barrier and submit to corporate governance. That right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. I think due to a time limitation, I think we have a wonderful and lively discussion today, has covering many different aspects and different topics of journal submission. And I'm afraid the Q&A session has to stop here and moving to closing now. And Professor Eweje, do you have any comments for closing?
Yeah, I would say again a big thank you to everyone involved with this. Ellie, thank you very, very much. Seiko-san, thank you very much. Masa-san, thank you. And all the audience out there, thank you for coming. Look, if you have any question about our journal, if you go to our website, my email is on our website. Email me and I will reply to you. If you want to join us as a reviewer, please, you are welcome. Just send me your details, your email address, your university, and then I will put you on our database. So thank you for coming and hope to see you somewhere in the future.
Thank you very much, Professor Eweje. And Dr. Hosoda, do you have any comments for closing?
Thank you for this event. Thank you, Elisa, and thank you for Seiko-san to organize this event. And I would like to say thank you for all the participants. I hope many paper will be submitted to our journal. Thank you so much for today.
Yeah, thank you all again for your time and participation. Thank you, Professor Eweje, Dr. Hosoda, and my team. And if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Here is our contact information, and we will be more than happy to respond. And lastly, I would like to ask our audience to spare 30 seconds for me to answer our questionnaires posting on the chat message right now. It will be great and very helpful for us to hear feedback from you. And one more thing is many audience are asking that are you going to receive the recording or e-certificate? Yes, you will receive an email with the recording of today's webinar and also an e-certificate the next day. Okay, I believe we can finish here right now. Thank you all very much. Have a good day and good evening, and stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you again, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. All right. Thank you. Bye.